Welcome back to my channel. My name is Colleen and this is Cmoore-Books. Just a little play on my name. My name is Colleen Moore. So as you can see from the title of the video, I'm doing my 23 books I want to read in 2023. I had such a hard time narrowing it down to 23. I was possibly thinking that I was gonna up it to 35. I know that seems like a random number, but I can explain. So I'm turning 35 this year. So I was like, hey, I'll read the number of books that I'm turning this year. And I was like, no, I'm gonna restrain myself. Just do what everyone else is doing. Do the normal thing. So I kept it to 23, but it was hard. So this is in no particular order. Honestly, these piles are chaos. So we'll just pick the closest book. So this will be a surprise to probably a lot of people. The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. I've been wanting to read this book for years. I love historical fiction and things set during World War II. And I've just never picked this up. I know it's narrated by Death, and it's about a little girl that is trying to protect books from book burnings during, from the Nazis. So yeah, so I had it added to this list. And then, I decided to film this thing today because I wanted my physical copy of this book. This is the novella sequel to Sorcery of Thorns, Mysteries of Thorn Manor by Margaret Rogerson. Isn't it just cute and so little? So little. I've only got like an hour, a little less than an hour of the audiobook left because that came first, because, well, Audible delivers so much faster. Audiobooks deliver so much faster than your physical books do because they're digital. But yeah. So I don't want to give like details about this just in case you haven't read Sorcery of Thorns, but those who have read Sorcery of Thorns, you're gonna love it. I already love it and I haven't even finished it yet. So it's just as wonderful as the original book. So this is a continuation of a series, the Derrickott Tales by Melanie Dickerson. She is a Christian author. This is the fourth one, Fortress of Snow. So each of these are, so they're like Christian retellings of like fairy tales. And I don't know what fairy tale this is. Oh, this is the Snow Queen. Thank you for the inside of the flap, for telling me that. So this, like, she did like original series called the Hagenheim series, which totally obsessed with. At least once a year I listen to them all in audio because I love the audiobook narrator, Jude Mason, and she narrates these too. So absolute love. So this came out in December and I still have not listened to it. So this will be like top priority. So absolutely love it. So I'm not going to talk about that one, but I highly recommend this series plus the Hagenheim series. They are both amazing. But I will tell you, they are all fairy tale retellings, but they are Christian fairy tale retellings. So there are scriptures. So like, if that's not something that you're interested in, I just want you to know that going into it. Because I've seen people like in the comments like, I didn't know this is like a Christian retelling. So that's something that I really enjoy because like, I am a Christian, so like, I really like the scripture in there and I think they're just so adorable and like, oh, they're just major favorites. So, yeah. And the next book on my list is Saint by Adrienne Young. This is a prequel to the Fable, namesake series. So get to learn more about Saint. He was in the Fable series. I'm not going to tell you who he is because that'll give spoilers away for that series. But just look at that cover. So cool. Just going to have him stare right into your soul. So yeah, Adrian Young is one of my favorite authors. You're about to see some others on this list just momentarily. So we have Spells for Forgetting by Adrian Young. This is her first adult novel. I know it's set in a small town. I think it's in Washington State. Maybe. Yeah, there's like magic there, and like the main character and his mom leave because of something that happened with like the magic, and then they come back and like things start getting weird again. Yeah. So this came out in September, and I'm so sad that I haven't read it yet. So I'm really excited to get on to start reading that one. And I don't know where there's a third Adrian Young book in here, but I don't know where it's at. But I'll get to it eventually. And then this is an interesting one. So this one is slated by Terry. So I don't remember how I came upon this one. But this one is set in the UK. It's about this girl who has her memory erased. Apparently, like, it's set in like the future where if you commit a crime and it's not too like terrible, you can have your mind like slated or erased, where like you still remember things, but you don't like you don't remember like your past life, but you still remember how to do like basic things. Like you still know how to take care of yourself and all that stuff, but like you don't have like the memories of your past life. So like I read this one, loved it, bought the second two because my library only had this one, and then I just never continued the series. But I don't remember this one well enough to continue the series. So I'm putting this one on to my 23 this list so that it will give me the drive to finish the series finally, because I remember really loving it. And then I have Inkheart by Cornelia Funk. I know this is about a dad who has this, I think he can like have like books come to life. Yeah, he can like bring characters come to life. Yeah, I'm reading the inside flap. So it just sounded really interesting. Carrie from Carrie Can Read has talked so much about this book. I remember in her like home bookshelf tour that she did when she was home in the States when her parents were moving, she had mentioned this, and I happened to find the entire trilogy at a thrift sale, and so I bought all three. So I have a feeling I'm gonna love it. So then I have the next two to keep continuing with. So the next book is the final book in a series. This is the Imposter series by Scott Westerfeld. So this is the continuation. This is set farther than the Ugly series, but it's set like within that same world. So good. I don't know why I haven't finished it. I think I'm just not I wasn't mentally prepared to finish the series, because like a major thing happened at the end of book 3. Like, wasn't emotionally prepared for that to happen, and I was like, actually 2 major things happened. I was like, how dare he do that? And like, whoa, that really just happened. So yeah, but this is the final book. I officially know that, so I can put that series to rest. So this is one of, I think, 2 nonfiction books I have on here. Between You and Me, Confessions of a Comma Queen by Mary Norris. So she works for the New Yorker. She's worked there for like 40 years, 30 years, 40 years. It's been a really long time. 3 decades, 30 years. But this was published like back in 2016. No, it would still be like 30 years. So I heard about her a few years ago. Whenever she was doing this series on YouTube where she would talk about like different like things about like punctuation and grammar. I was studying for my copy editing certificate at the time, and so I still love grammar and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I still do some like small copy editing thing for people like on the side when they're in need of it. So I don't do that as like a profession. I'm a librarian. But yeah, so I bought her book. I still just have not read it. I've had it for like 5 years. So I'm finally going to read it. Just finally going to make it happen. Oh my gosh. Okay. The piece of hair is bothering me. Okay. The other nonfiction is Tuesdays with Maury, An Old Man, a Young Man, and Life's Greatest Lesson by Mitch Albom. I've heard so much about this book, and so it's Mitch Albom. He goes every week to visit with his friend Maury, and they just have these great discussions, and I've always wanted to read it. I've owned it for quite a bit of time, so I will be picking this one up this year. So these next two are ones that go together. So we have book 4 in the Ascended series. So we got The Captive Kingdom, and we have book 5, The Shattered Castle. So the first 3 books are The False Prince, The Runaway King, and The Shadow Throne. So originally it was only supposed to be a trilogy. And then Jennifer Nielsen was so wonderful and gave us 2 more books. So I just have not gotten to them yet. So I'm like in the middle of a reread of the series, and I just haven't gotten to these 2 books. I think I've only read The False Prince again, but I'm not positive. Because I just want to be fully like prepared, because this is one of my favorite series. If you have not like read this series, also listen to the audiobook. The narrator, oh my goodness, brings these characters to life. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Oh my gosh, he brings Jaren to life so much. Oh my gosh, he is so funny. So funny. Love him to death. Although I might have just given you a spoiler by saying that. But we're not going to talk about that. Okay. Then we have, this is a Heartstopper novella, Nick and Charlie, by Alice Oseman. So this is set when Nick is leaving for university, because Charlie's a year younger. So like, so I need to read more Heartstopper, because I've read all 4 volumes, and volume 5 still hasn't come out. So like, this is gonna fill the void that I'm feeling while I'm still waiting for volume 5. And I'm also gonna read the first 4 volumes in Portuguese at sometime this year, because that's on my bucket list. I don't think anyone knows, but I am fluent in Portuguese. I started mission for my church in Brazil. So I was there for about a year. It would have been a year and a half, but I got a tad sick while I was there. Everyone kept telling me things were gluten-free. They weren't, and yeah. I also got the dengue fever. Don't recommend. So the next book is Salt of the Sea by Ruta Sepetys. So this is based off of a true story. It's about the sinking of the Wilhelm Gustloff. So she creates 4 different characters, 4 refugees that were like 4 fictional characters, but like that go through this experience on this ship. So I just read my first of her books last year, I Must Betray You, and I was blown away. So I am excited to read more from her. And so I decided to make this the one I'm going to prioritize this year, but I'm sure I will read more because I own a lot of her books now. The next one is These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. So this is a Romeo and Juliet retelling in Shanghai set during the 1920s. I put this on so many TBR ring tosses in the fall that are on my TikTok. Still haven't read it. So by putting on this list, I am giving myself some more motivation. I don't want to say forcing, because I really do want to read it. I'm giving myself some more motivation to read it. Because if it's on a list, I feel more pressure and like drive, and I have a whole year, but I want to read it faster than that. And then I have Where the Crawdad Sings by Delia Owens. I think everyone knows what this book is about. But yeah, I want to read and understand what all the hype is about. So I got this for like really cheap, maybe like a couple dollars at a Goodwill, or it might have been a Salvation Army, and I was like, oh, so cheap. I think it was like maybe like $1, $2. Yeah, I couldn't pass it up. So I'm excited to get to that one this year. Oh, and here's the final Adrienne Young one. This is also set within the same world as the Fable world. Same with Saint. But this one is, from what I understand, set chronologically after Fable and Namesake, I think. Don't quote me on that. But I think this one is set, it's set in a different part of this world. It's set in Bastion. So, it's not set in the Narrows. So I'm really excited to read this one. But I just love, like, the gold specks, and, so pretty. I just love Adrienne Young and her writing. So I think this is the only graphic novel on this list. But I love Leigh Bardugo and her writing. So I had to add Demon in the Wood. So the text is by Leigh Bardugo, and then Danny Pendergast did the illustrations. And I am just so excited. Oh yeah, and I also pre-ordered this, and then I did the pre-order incentive, so I got this holographic print that came with it, which is so cool. Absolutely love it. So I absolutely loved the short story when I read it, so I'm really excited to see the graphic novelization, because I find the Darkling fascinating. So I'm not gonna lie, Ben Barnes is a big part of that. I did love the Darkling. You know what? I actually watched the show before I read the books, so Ben Barnes might have a big thing to do with it. I'm not gonna lie, I really love seeing him on all of, like, the T-Mobile commercials. That's so random, but, you know. Okay. We're gonna continue. Next book is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. An old coworker was actually giving this book and its sequel, oh my gosh, I have it down here. Muse of Nightmares away. She no longer wanted them, and I gladly took them off her hands. So I've been wanting to read it, and this felt like a great time to add it to this list. So yeah, I think a lot of people have read this. I know it says Laszlo Strange, and I know, I think it goes into like other worlds or something. You know, I honestly don't know much about it, but I'm excited just to go into it blind. And with a cover as beautiful as this, I heard great things about it, so yeah, so excited. And then we have Echo by Pam Muniz Ryan. This is a middle grade novel. I honestly don't know anything about this. This was at a book sale, and it just looks so pretty. And I've read other things by this author, and just some of the inside, like, graphics and the formatting was so pretty. Yeah, just really made me excited to read it. And so I can't remember what else I read by this author. I'm blanking. but yeah, I know I want to read it. So that's why I put it on this list. And then, only had 3 left. So I bought this last year. This is Finding Junie Kim by Ellen O. This is another middle grade novel. So this is about this girl. Her history teacher assigns her an oral history project, and so she decides to interview her grandparents about their experience as kids during the Korean War. And so she learns about their history, and so I love learning about their cultures, and I love family history and learning about your family. And so that's just what drew me to this book, just learning about family and family history. And yeah, it just seems like a book that was right up my alley. So I am a huge fan of A Girl's Guide to Murder series. I read all 3 of them last year within like a few months of each other. I read both the last 2 in the same month. So I of course had to put 5 Survive by Holly Jackson on this list. So as it says there, from what I understand, there are 6 so it's 8 hours, 6 friends, and 5 survive. So it's gonna be a rough book. So I'm excited to go into this a little blind. I saw Meg with Books. She did a video where she read it like in like the time span, like the timestamps of when they were going through the different things. I stopped at a certain point because I was like, you know what, I don't want to know more. Like I want to keep my mind clear before I read it. And I was like, girl, like you're gonna mess up your sleep pattern. I was like, I should give you Why We Sleep by Matt Walker. Like sleep is so important. Like I know she really is a stickler for like her sleep schedule, so it's just kind of funny. She should have gotten some energy drinks or some coffee. I don't drink coffee, so I probably would have gone for an energy drink. So yeah, so excited to read that book. And I saved a beautiful one I am so stoked for last. Babel by R.F. Kuang. This will be my first R.F. Kuang book. So excited. I have the audiobook and obviously the physical book. So this is set in the 1800s at Oxford. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I am so stoked to read this. I have seen so many glowing reviews of this book. I just had to buy both the audiobook and the physical book. I just couldn't not. So so many of the booktubers that I follow gave it such glowing reviews, like Sid from Sid Warham and Kara's Bookshelf and Meg with Books. And I was like, hey, these are people's opinions that I trust. And I think Carrie from Carrie Can Read, I think she also gave this 5 out of 5 stars too. So yeah, I trust these people. So I was like, yeah, I'm excited. I'm so excited, guys. Yeah. So I just had to save it for last. So hope you all enjoyed. And yeah, so if you enjoyed this video and want to see more of my content, I just go ahead and subscribe, and also remember who you are and where you live. See you in my next one.